All right, Amy, you ready?
Oh, I gotta get the burps out.
Yeah, get all those better out than in, I always say.
Are you
You
recording?
don't always say that.
Hagrid
Matter of fact,
says
I've
that.
never heard you say that. You fucking
Hagrid
liar.
says that. You are not Hagrid.
Wow, I
You'll
feel,
never
I
be
feel-
Hagrid.
I feel called out. Also recording.
Okay, I'm keeping that all in.
Yeah.
All right. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nostalgia Effect.
What's up?
The podcast where we examine movies from our childhood through the lens of adulthood. I do not miss that at all, Joe. I'm Amy. We got Joe, of course.
Yep.
Interrupting everybody, and Johnny, who's not paying
Hey.
attention.
I'm paying
As
attention.
usual. We're on brand.
We are
Yes.
very on brand. And today, the entire episode is going to be about Jim Henderson and Frank Oz's The Dark Crystal in like literally every way, shape, and form.
That's true.
Because we got to talk in trailers about the new Dark Crystal Netflix series, and we're going to be talking about The Dark Crystal, the movie.
This is actually going to be the Dark Crystal podcast from now on. All Dark Crystal, all the time.
That's the title of this episode, maybe. But first, and I want to talk about the trailer before we see the movie, and then I want to talk about it again after and do some speculation on how this will go into the movie.
Right. Well, I think it's important for our listener to know that none of us have seen this film.
Yes,
So,
that is a first.
Yeah, that is a first.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. This was actually Johnny's idea, though, too.
Well, I don't know, I figured one of us had seen it. It's like a proper, I mean, it's a Henson thing.
It's a well-known movie.
Yeah, it's
you
well
know?
known.
Yeah, I was very surprised that Joe had not seen it.
Same.
Because Joe is a very known Henson fan. Is that Ben?
He's the puppet master.
It is Ben.
Some might say.
That's Ben right there.
But
I was doing the middle fingers, and then I briefly was worried that maybe it wasn't Ben. And so then I kind of went hesitant. I was like this, and I was like, oh no.
Well, Ben, here is your shout out. We told you we were going to shout you out in the podcast today.
Yeah, so Ben, fuck you.
yeah, fuck you, Ben.
Sorry, Johnny, continue.
No, I'm done. Ben ruined it. He ruins most things in my life. Anyways.
So let's talk about this Dark Crystal trailer. Johnny, I know you really enjoyed it. You thought it was like kind of epic and
It's got well, this is the final trailer we're talking about?
yeah, the one that they just
They
released the other day.
Yeah, it is a hell of a thing.
It
Yeah.
is epic. The fact that there's a lot of, I mean, you know, from what I understand of, it's like a prequel series. To
Yeah,
the movie.
which the first time I had watched this trailer, I did not know that.
Where
I thought
does it say?
It doesn't say
It doesn't
there.
say in the actual
It
trailer.
says in the description of the
Oh, no,
show.
I mean just in terms of like
Yeah.
in terms of information that's known about this project.
Oh, interesting.
It's a prequel. It's supposed to take place. It's a prequel. To take place
Interesting.
before the movie. But it's just the scale of it is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It looks bigger than what I have seen the Dark Crystal movie
well, I mean,
scale
yeah.
to look
I mean,
like.
it's also you know the
Yeah.
the Dark Crystal
It was
film was released in like
82.
82. Yeah, so puppetry has come a long way.
yeah.
So
But
it was computer generated effects.
indeed, but I mean, the fact that there is actual puppetry in
Mm-hmm.
the show
Yeah.
is pretty wild, and the level of detail in the characters that I've seen, and especially in that trailer, I'm like, holy shit, this looks wild. So I'm interested. Yes, yes, I'm interested.
Yeah. I'm interested too. It looks super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a ton of weird shit going on. I do naturally sort of like drift away from fantasy, and we've sort of talked about this a little bit. And so there's a
Because
part
he's
of
into
me,
science, Amy.
Yeah.
Right? He loves science.
it's my first love.
But it's like that's why I'm very surprised that you like things like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter because they are more fantasy based.
Yes.
But he doesn't really like them. He's just
He's a
pretend-
poser.
He's just
I'm a
pretending
poser.
to
I'm
like them.
posing.
Oh, God.
Was it too much? Was it too much? Should I
It
have
was
done,
too much.
done less with the crotch thrust?
We're not trying to paint you like one of the French girls.
No, I think I love Harry Potter. You both know this.
We all love Harry Potter.
Yes,
here.
we do.
It's true.
And
we have it branded on our skin, Joe.
well, not I don't. But
I know.
You two.
We
Because you're
do.
also
Yeah.
a poser. Because you're a poser.
I'm a fake fan.
I'm a
Fake
fake fan
fan.
because I'm missing one of the books. But,
Hashtag fake fan.
You know, in her videos, she's missing one of the books. Anyway, but I love Harry Potter. I do love me some Harry Potier. But Lord of the Rings, while I like it, is definitely it's pushing it for me. I'm not always like
Book or movie? Both.
both. I've read
What?
I've read the books and I've seen the movies. I do love The Hobbit, the book The Hobbit.
I love the book, the Hobbit book. It
Yeah.
is fantastic.
It is fantastic, and I will read that anytime.
I love the movie The Hobbit, so
The cartoon
fuck
one?
all you guys. No, I'm just kidding. I've actually only seen. They made 3 of those movies.
Yes.
right?
It's just,
I've only-
they made 3
They
of
had
them.
they had the Hobbit,
Of
the
the
Unexpected Journey, Hobbit, the Desolation of Smaug, and I don't remember what the last one was called.
Battle of the Three Armies. Something like that?
Something like that.
Anyways, I've
yeah.
only seen 2 movies.
yeah, no. So
But the book is really good.
The book is
Everyone
fantastic.
enjoys that
and
book,
I
I
will
feel
read
like.
that book anytime,
It was
anywhere.
the only book we read in middle school English class that I actually enjoyed.
It was the
actually,
only
it wasn't
book
even
they
English class.
had.
read
in middle school.
yeah,
It
just
was
the one,
literature
one copy.
class.
One copy.
Yeah,
And
it
they
took
had to
them
share
the
it
whole
among the
year
school.
for everybody to share, pass it around like a doobie.
Yeah,
And-
it
ever
was
say the
all
word
rolled
doobie
up.
You know nothing of this.
It's true. But yeah, I Lord of the Rings is a little stodgy. It's a little stuffy. There's
There's not enough science in it.
It luckily does not. It's like it's still
There's no
basically
science in
like Middle Ages stuff. It's not relying so heavily on a bunch of bullshit. And because remember, like when we talked about Willow, right? That there was
Yeah.
like, here's some floobity floppity name and a bunch of bullshit, you know, mythology that kind of sounds like low rent B level stuff, and we're supposed to care. And Lord of the Rings skates on the edge, but doesn't fall into that trap the way I
Yeah.
think a lot of.
But I
fantasy
would
does.
think. I mean,
But I-
in terms of like Lord of the Rings is like pretty hard fantasy, but
It
it's
is.
got a whole world that it built. and
Yeah,
it's
a whole.
got-
Yeah.
It's got languages that it built.
Oh, yeah.
It's got.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel as far as like I feel like that's one of the more solidly well constructed worlds that in fantasy, because you're right, a lot of fantasy stuff does have tendency to just be like floofy.
It does, and it
stuff,
also
then,
a lot
you
of
know.
times uses Lord of the Rings as like a shortcut, where
Yeah.
it's like imitation Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
and it just kind of uses all of that as a basic jumping off point, but just gives
Put your hand down, Amy.
sounding
This
names.
isn't class.
I have a question for you, Joe. Though.
Yeah. I
Is
love
that one of the
questions.
reasons why you don't like Game of Thrones?
No, my big problem with Game of Thrones, and I've read all the books, and I stopped watching the series. I don't know, halfway through season 3, and I only watched because I was watching with somebody who liked it. The series I mean, this is a longer
I mean, we
thing.
don't have to get into it if you don't,
Basically-
if it's too long of a story.
No, I mean, here's basically the thing. I really, really dislike multi-part TV series where it's like, you know, here's a TV series. Season 1 is basically a 10-hour movie, you know, and like nothing distinct happens from episode to episode. It's just, and that's what Game of Thrones does. Episode 1 is meant to get you to episode 2. Episode 2 is meant to get you to episode 3. And then by the time you get to the end of the season, you're like, what was all that for? Like maybe the
Yeah.
episode before the end of the season, something big happened. But otherwise, I think that TV should be serialized in terms of story, but episodic in terms of events. And so you should be able to point to an episode and be like, you remember this episode in which this happened and this was really important to the characters and
Yeah.
stuff? And Game of Thrones is kind of this amorphous blob that is constantly just sort of like rolling forward down the stairs, you know?
Oh, okay.
And then I also really, really hate the brutality on the show. I've said this before, and I will say it again. I strike the unpopular opinion that rape is not good. I'm against it. It's
Wow.
So you have
Yeah.
an
Real bold
unpopular
stance of you.
opinion
yeah.
to like
I'm against the
one
crime
person.
of rape. And so what bothers me about the show is they're constantly showing, you know, there's a rape scene I think pretty much in every episode.
Yeah.
And
There
it's a
isn't,
rape.
But all right, whatever.
I mean, I haven't
It's
seen
certainly.
the show.
I will
feels like
defend
it.
the show. You're just a little bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
It does. It does. Feel
I
like
feel like
there's
what
a
you
lot of
say.
rape.
It's gotten criticism for
and
a lot
and
of
the thing
that
is,
stuff.
it's like okay, all right, if you must show the rape, if you feel you must show the rape, fine. But what it does is it shows the rape in a way that's meant to be sort of titillating, and that bothers me.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not entirely sure that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. It's gotten. I mean, you know, I like the show. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
It's the end of the thing.
Yeah.
You know, people don't like it. It's whatever.
yeah.
But I mean, to say that it's not at least. I don't know. Maybe it's not worth your time. But I mean, I don't know. If you read all the books,
I did.
they're the same shit. It's what happens in the books.
The thing is like the show also for me, it moves slowly in a really aggravating way. There's
The
so
Netflix bloat type thing that you were
bit
crusading it on a
many
couple
times.
episodes ago.
a little bit, because like there'll be a
soapboxing.
scene like in the
He was
books,
soapboxing.
the way the books work, and I the books are paced the way books should be paced, and they work for that. Although the last couple books like grind to a halt and nothing happens until the very end of each book, and that really pisses me off. 4 and 5. I mean,
considering this last book has not gotten anywhere at all.
it's not even been released. That's how slow it is.
I don't think it's even been written.
But like each chapter is told is what's going on from each character's point of view, and so you're learning stuff, you're seeing stuff, there's things happening, and it's interesting. And the show hops around between different characters. But I remember it was in season 1. You know, there's like a whole bunch of nothing happening, and then we get to a scene with King Robert, and he and it's just a scene in which he and all these guys are talking about like the first guy they killed, and it's like, I don't care. What does this have to do with the story of the book? Because right now, all you're doing is having your awards scene, you know, like this is what it feels like. I felt like I should have been underneath for your consideration, you know, best actor. Like there's so much of the show that has nothing. It has nothing to do with the story. It's all about the character, which is kind of a bigger problem I have with a lot of HBO programming, is that it's all very heavily character based and very light on story. Barry is not that. I love Barry.
Barry is amazing.
Listener,
if you haven't watched Barry yet, stop listening and run.
Barry is way better than what
Watch
we're
Barry
talking
instead of
about.
listening to us.
Absolutely.
But that's what Game of Thrones is so heavily dependent upon character and what's going on with them. The story feels like a side gag, essentially, and that I find really aggravating too.
Yeah.
You should have a good mix of both.
So that whole tangent is to say you don't like fantasy, but you are interested in seeing this Dark Crystal series.
I mean, it looks cool. It looks it looks super cool. It looks my problem with fantasy ultimately is how accessible is it? Like how much am I going to be able to say to suspend my disbelief and watch this and be invested? Harry Potter, I think, does that really well because it's still grounded.
It's very much grounded in reality.
It's grounded in reality. It's grounded in things we understand. We all understand high school. We all understand fighting dark wizards and having attempts on our lives at a young age. I mean, I certainly do.
No, you don't.
And
remember, Joe is timeless.
That's true. But anyway, but Harry Potter is grounded in things that we understand.
Yeah.
And our way in is through Harry, who did not grow up in a magical world. He's getting to see it for the first time, and there are still rules in these magical worlds that we understand. You still can get hurt. You can still, get a bloody nose if somebody punches you. And then ultimately those stories, whether or not magic is involved, those stories still work. And I feel like a lot of times fantasy, if you remove the fantasy element, the story doesn't work, which is always my complaint about any bad version of a genre film, is if you take away the thing that makes it a genre, does the story still work? Ghostbusters, if you take away the comedy, does the story still work? Absolutely it does.
So with this, if you take away the fantasy element, it's...
the trailer, we don't really know the extent
Well,
of
yeah,
the
I don't know about the
story.
trailer, but I'm saying, like, Lord of the Rings, if you take away the fantasy element, you could put it in, like, World War II era, and it still works,
Yeah.
And
I don't know. A guy returning a ring to a volcano in World War II doesn't
Well,
really
I mean,
seem-
Well, that's how they killed Hitler, man.
It's,
I don't think that's
it's
true.
really
I don't know enough about
returning
history, but-
anything. He
Pretty
could
sure
be
that's not true.
returning something else. Like, he could be going, like, in World War II, he could be taking a telegram. Like, in 1917, that movie that's coming out soon. It's a World War II, or it's a World War I movie. And it's about this boy delivering a message to stop the war.
Right. I mean, basically,
It's basically like that, except
it's more like
fantasy.
The ring is an unstoppable.
Don't look at me like that. You know I'm right.
It's like side eye, but he's looking straight at you. I don't know what that's called.
It's called me mugging.
That's his Amy's wrong face.
but basically it would be like if we're saying World War II, we're saying, Adolf Hitler.
No, I mean, I get what you're
has
saying. I
like
didn't mean to go on this tangent. I don't
unstoppable
need to be
yeah.
explained what you mean. I
Right.
know what you're talking about.
Well, but like for Amy, it's like if there's like an unstoppable weapon that Adolf
Yeah,
Hitler
Amy,
Yeah.
used
be
to have
mansplained.
and wants it again, and this guy, and it's where it's these people who it's been hidden with for forever have it, and they're trying to destroy the unstoppable
Yes,
weapon. And
yes,
that's-
I know. I'm just
yeah.
saying like that. I'm not saying that it's the exact 1917
Yeah.
is the exact same thing. I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's kind of like taking something across the battle lines. He's gonna have to fight a bunch of different
Yeah,
things in
yeah.
1917.
And so I feel like Lord of the Rings succeeds in that. I
Yeah.
don't know if Dark Crystal will, but it certainly looks cool.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it looks really
it just looks
cool.
epic,
And
I'm in
then the
all
voice cast
for.
is really,
epic shit,
as you
yeah.
said, stacked. I mean, almost everybody is in this. Everybody
Yeah.
that's cool anyway.
I watched this and I think I need to actually watch the movie because I was just like, okay, it looks cool, but
But it's
I
a
don't know
bunch
what
of-
the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I mean, I don't know either, but it looks cool, and that's all I really need. I mean,
Yeah.
shit, man. I mean,
and it does look like bigger
looks- I
scale
mean, the pr-
than any other
the-
Netflix thing I've seen so
the
far.
product. I mean, I'm impressed with the production of it.
Yeah.
Like, the production scale looks amazing. CGI is used a lot, often a little bit too much. Practical effects, kind of, they're expensive. They're much more, they're
Yeah.
like, more
Looks better,
expensive. They do look better, I would say, but not always. But I mean, but in this sense, for this trailer, they look fucking amazing.
They do.
And
They look
it
really
looks like this whole thing just looks like it cost a lot of money.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
it does. And it's a series, not a movie. Right?
Yeah, which is crazy. It looks like a
Yeah.
movie. Like if it hadn't said like original, like I didn't know if it hadn't said like original series, I would have been like, oh, this is a movie.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that it's not. I'm like, holy shit.
There are
Yeah.
10 episodes.
So it's 10-hour movie.
Yeah.
Well, should we watch the Dark Crystal and then see?
Well, do we want to talk about our experience a little bit more with the Dark Crystal previously? So I know none of us have seen it, but like, what did you know about it before? Like,
Yeah.
I really knew nothing about it besides that one Defunct Land video, like in the Jim Henson series.
That excellent Defunct
Yeah.
Land episode.
No,
Yeah.
don't
the
think
excellent
I've-
series. That
series
whole
of-
Jim
about
Henson,
Jim Henson.
series.
Oh,
that he
the
did
Muppet
was
ones,
great.
yeah.
Go check it out.
I
Defunct
haven't.
Land on YouTube. Kevin Perjurer does very, very good work. And that is a fantastic.
You're welcome.
documentary.
The only non-Muppet movie that I've seen from Henson, though, is Labyrinth, and I really, really love Labyrinth.
I've never seen that one.
Neither has Joe, surprisingly.
Yeah, and I have seen like bits of it. I'm aware of it, but we were talking about this earlier. I get Labyrinth and Legend mixed
Yeah.
up, and then Dark Crystal kind of also like they were all.
What the hell is Legend?
Legend
I don't
is
know, it's some
Ridley
Tom
Scott,
Cruise
Tom
movie?
Cruise, Jennifer Connelly, and
Wait, Jennifer Connelly's in both of them?
No,
Jennifer
no.
Connelly is in
She's in
Labyrinth.
Labyrinth. Wait, so then that's Jennifer Connelly and David Bowie. It's Tom Cruise and somebody else. Tim Curry's like the devil, directed by Ridley Scott.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's not a movie that I love, so it hasn't really stuck in my mind.
But yeah. Dark Crystal.
Mia Sarah.
Oh
Sarah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dark Crystal. I don't really like. I just the only thing I know is that like it's known as like a really dark for a kids movie. Like that's my only real knowledge of it. It was like I had a buddy of mine, Matt Mooberry, that's his real name, who told me about the movie. He's like, oh yeah, because I never heard of it. And he's like, Dark Crystal, like it's pretty dark. It used to terrify me as a kid. Like the bad guys or whatever used to, like the puppets used to
I've seen
scare 'em.
pictures of them. They're like scary birds.
Well, didn't we see one of them at the Henson
Yes.
exhibit?
Yeah,
They were, like,
they were big. The
super
big
big.
puppets.
yeah,
like,
they're terrifying.
Yeah, they were weird. They were fucking weird looking. But so that's all I really knew is that it had a reputation because I'm pretty sure it was like a flop, right?
No,
No,
not according
Labyrinth
to the
was a
village.
flop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Defunct Land episode said that it was sort of mixed reception.
Yeah.
But did well enough.
It was, I think
60
16th
million.
over. No, it
Oh.
came in 16th overall in 82 U.S. box office.
Right.
And was number one, I think, in Japan and France overall that year.
But it did well. Like
Yeah.
it was.
Okay.
It did.
Yeah,
It did
France
I
and
thought- I thought
Japan
it was-
highest grossing box office in 82.
You know what? I get that mixed up with what is it? The Black Cauldron.
Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
Which
That's-
was
that's-
That
a
was-
flop
that
for
was a
Disney.
huge
Which is
flop.
also another like super dark
And I
for a kids
also
movie.
mix it up with
Yeah,
that
yeah.
because Black Cauldron, Dark Crystal,
Yeah,
they kind of
they
sound
yeah, exactly.
similar. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking was the flop. But anyways, I basically had the same kind of connection with Black Cauldron,
Yeah.
with Dark Crystal.
Black Cauldron did scare me as a child. I watched it one time and I have not watched it since.
There's I think it's Defunct Land. I think has a really good episode about like the Black Cauldron ride.
Ride.
I
Japan.
watched
And
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really good one.
It did.
Sounds
It was pretty cool.
fucking crazy.
This just turned into a Defunctland podcast now, so we're just going to talk about episodes
we're just
about
a Defunctland
Defunctland
stand podcast.
exclusively. But yeah, so that was my really knowing of it. I didn't know much.
Yeah. I mean, I would say pretty much the same. Not only do I get it confused with a bunch of other films, I was aware that it was Henson Sans Muppets. And it was just a movie that everybody knew, but I feel like a lot of people didn't see or didn't know very well or hadn't seen in a really long time. You know, one of those movies that just everybody knows about, but nobody really remembers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about it except for, like, the Defunctland episode, and, I just never really watched it. Wasn't really part of my periphery growing up. So, let's watch this, and then, before we talk about the movie, I guess, let's talk about the trailer. I don't know. We'll get to it after we watch this movie.
Maybe we'll watch the trailer after we see the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now, our feature presentation.
And we're back.
Oh my God.
Yes.
What kind of, oh my God, is that?
I fucking hated this
Yep.
movie. Piece of shit.
I was so bored.
God.
I got so confused.
When you have to start your movie with a paragraph of
No,
explanation
not a
and
paragraph,
backstory.
a 5-minute soliloquy.
Yeah. It's like, you are in trouble. You are in so much fucking trouble.
Do you want? I know
What?
I know I told you I had some hints and fun facts.
Yeah.
And I usually save all my fun facts. I only have 2 fun facts, and they're both the hints and facts.
Okay.
And I think I might break my my normal thing to give you this little fun fact.
Okay. Do it.
Pre-production work revolved around Brian Froud's designs without a finished script.
Yeah, I'd see that.
When Froud originally presented Jim Henson with a concept drawing for the crystal, Henson seemed perplexed. When Froud asked why, Henson said he had no idea what the designs were for. Froud had misunderstood Henson during early production conversations. He had intended to call the film The Dark Chrysalis,
Oh.
referring to the Skeksis' dominance over the world. Henson, however, loved the concept art and integrated that idea of the crystal into the storyline.
Huh. Dark.
Interesting.
Well,
That's
and
pretty
a
funny.
chrysalis listener is the cocoon essentially that.
Yes, we know, Joe. It's what makes a butterfly.
Fucking science man over
A
here.
butthurt fly.
Yes, Joe, because that's what you are for me telling you that we knew what you were talking about.
It's getting personal.
That's this fucking movie. I fell asleep in the middle.
I think I missed part of it because I got so distracted looking through Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fell asleep and then I woke up again and I was not any less confused or more confused. I was not any more confused having just woken up and been like, what's all right. You know, it's still on.
Yeah.
Remember when we were watching Willow and we talked about how they had like so many different like species or like types of different people, I don't know what like exactly
Races?
like races. Yeah, thank you. Like they had that in this, and it's like the only race I really could like keep track of were like those 2, the Skeksis and the Mystics.
Well, that's all
Yeah.
there was.
Because
and then
they're the
Gelflings.
same
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and like they
Yeah.
did that whole thing at the beginning where it was the Skeksis. There's 10 of them and their leader's dying, and then the Mystics. There's 10 of them and their leader's dying.
Yeah.
I was like, and then the one guy like hurts his hand, and then
Yeah.
one Mystic's like, I hurt my hand.
Yeah. I do like
fuck?
later
Yeah.
in that they establish that they're like connected in that way, and then one of the Skeksis dies, and then one of the Mystics just like blows up, and then they're just like look back and they just keep walking. And
they're
that
like,
was
"Ah."
hilarious.
Yeah, I
I was
know.
like, oh, there's Fred. Fred's gone. Well,
Yeah.
He just
guess we gotta
exploded. You know how
guess
that
we
is.
gotta keep moving.
And
Start crystals and gonna heal itself.
I was thinking super early on when it was talking about like 2 races, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, so it's a race war. Cool. You know, I've never, well, not never, but it is rare when I have such a strong dislike for something so early on. Within 5 minutes,
Yeah.
I hated this movie, and I never came back from that.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Yeah, I think that the soliloquy at the beginning really bored me.
Yeah.
And I just I
Rightly
could not
so.
recover from that.
When I was in college, we had a writing class, and I had this teacher who, her name was Diana Wagman, and she was fantastic. And it was somebody's, I don't think she was a super nice lady. She would never have called out anybody in particular. But there was somebody's script that had so much exposition in it. She said, okay, listen, for anybody who puts this much exposition in their thing, I'm just going to write in the margins, 2 camels fucking. And we're all like, whoa. And she goes, listen, I think it was like Casablanca. It was some Humphrey Bogart film. And his character had to give this long exposition speech about whatever. And Humphrey Bogart went to the director and said, so you're going to have 2 camels fucking behind me? Because that's the only way this scene is going to be interesting with me just yapping, you know? And that's what this movie was. It was just 2 camels fucking.
Yeah. The only thing I really that really like stood out to me was that like seer person, like I don't even remember her name.
Yeah, these names are all
The one with the one eye.
the one-eyed lady.
Yeah.
And she had like the planet thing that ended up getting destroyed by those like crab monsters.
The thing that's at the entrance to Tomorrowland at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Like that's what the Astro Orbiter. That's what it was basically.
Yeah.
I don't like. I don't even. There's so much
This and like
bullshit.
when you said dark, when you were talking about dark, like the Black Cauldron earlier. When I was watching this, I was like, she reminds me of the purple witch from the Black Cauldron.
You know, she
Like that I've seen her like in memes and like clips and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, oh wow, she kind of reminds me of that.
She reminded me that one-eyed lady. Which lady?
Or Carol Kane's character from Princess Bride.
Kind of. She actually reminded me of the creature that the woman turns into in the dungeon pit thing that Ash gets thrown into in Evil Dead. Do you remember, like, when he's like
The first Evil Dead?
I'm sorry, not Evil Dead. Army of Darkness. When he's thrown into that pit with all the water, and then the woman turns into the demon. And that's what she reminded me of.
Interesting.
Also, I have a note on here because this is how bored I was. I only took 4 notes. One of my notes was, did they put nipples on the seer puppet?
She had some.
She had some really perky nips.
She was
Really?
She was
Oh, yeah.
delicious. I could not help but notice, and she was not wearing a bra.
No, because they were like they were
big.
I think Frank Oz was playing her.
Yeah, he was.
So that's something else, because it was really interesting. In the credits, you see Frank Oz, you see Jim Henson, of course. I think you see Steve
so
Whitmire,
many
a ton
Muppet,
of
like,
Muppet players, but none of their voices. It was just their puppeteering, and then they had other people in, and that actually really bothered me because I thought the voice acting was atrocious.
Yeah, like
Voice
the
acting was pretty
mouth. The mouth on the, like, whatever, Jen.
Gelfling.
Jen.
Yeah, they
Jen.
did not,
A
like,
dude
it just felt
called
so
Jen.
weird.
Yeah. Well,
Like, they felt like, that was, like, the only time the puppets did not, like, really work for me.
Yeah.
Were the Gelflings.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like their mouths didn't open up.
match.
Yeah.
They were kind of stiff.
It was hard to know when they were speaking dialogue or when they was like voiceover, like train of thought,
Right, right.
Because they did the 2 of them.
They did.
Yeah.
And it was not really clear, like,
Yeah.
why even.
And that's something I noticed when we rewatched the trailer together, is, like, the puppet, like, the Gelfling puppets still did not.
They still feel stiff.
Yeah.
But I like the voice acting, especially for, like, the Chamberlain, that... and then it was at the end of this fucking trailer, and I was like, God damn it, because I hate... Like, that's all that character did. Like, most of the dialogue was...
Yeah.
And it's like...
I do like those, the, like, stilt, weird
The
animal.
Landstrider
Yeah, they're
thingies?
like,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like thin polar bears.
Yeah.
Well-
I like the creature design in this movie.
Oh, yeah, like, the Skeksis, I think, even though they were, like, I was super creeped out by them.
They're
like,
gross,
in
but they're
pictures,
supposed to be
And when we
gross.
were at the Jim Henson exhibit, they looked so cool.
But they were such a joke to me.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
know?
there's not a they're
were
not a
very
huge
goofy.
threat. Yeah, they're not.
And like I when the Chamberlain and what's his face were gonna fight to be the new boss, and I was like, oh shit, they got swords out. Okay, so they're gonna fight, and then they were just like whacking at a rock.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
what is that even?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And then I will say the Landstriders. I liked the creature designs, but the Landstriders I kind of felt like looked like they could barely walk, let alone run.
Well, yeah, it's because it was like two people with their hands and their feet on stilts, very obviously.
Yeah.
And it also felt like they were AT-ATs.
A little bit I could see that for sure.
Like, that was my first thought when I saw them. I'm like, oh, they're just not robotic AT-ATs. They're like animals.
Yeah. But yeah, like the internal monologue, I felt like a lot of the voiceover narration and then as well as the internal monologue stuff was all like studio notes. Like they had made a movie that nobody
yeah.
could understand, and they were
Yeah.
like, "Dude, you got to go back in there and you got to give us way more information because this movie doesn't make any sense."
Well,
right
in
now."
my fun facts, it was like Jim Henson cut out off his own accord 20 minutes that like in previews people were like, I don't like this. And like they had
He was about like an hour and 40 minutes shy of cutting away everything
Yeah.
that should have been cut.
there were two actresses for the girl Gelfling,
Mm-hmm.
but the first actress had to drop out for something. The second actress in previews they could not understand her. Oh no, wait, it wasn't the Gelfling. It was the seer puppet.
Oh, I have in my notes here, it's Algra.
Algara, is that what her name is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. I got their names all mixed up and stuff. But yeah, like the first actress who played her dropped out, or the first actress who voiced her, like out of their two choices, just like was not was intelligible.
Right.
And then they replaced her with somebody else.
Unintelligible.
Unintelligible.
Yeah.
Unintelligible.
And then, like, why on earth, like, the Skeksis, their way of, like, banishing somebody is they strip them naked?
Yeah. Although I did, that scene was like when they were the most menacing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're about to tear this guy apart.
I thought that.
yeah.
But
I thought it was going to go there.
I was also confused because I thought, and this is me, I know I have, like, a girlish voice, but I thought the Chamberlain was a chick.
Yeah.
And they kept saying him, and that was really confusing to me. And same with Jen, where it's like, is you Jen? Your name is Jen?
Yeah. And it's spelled like J-E and like the way I call my aunt,
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Yeah. And I don't know, and maybe that's just me, old fashioned, but I had.
It's 2019, Joe, all right? You got to
Time
get
is
with the
up.
time. Grandpa. Jeez.
But you know what
Gender's just, a construct, bro.
else? Don't
This
gen-
was
don't-
the 80s, dude.
This is when
Man.
men were men and women were women.
I'm saying this movie is ahead of its time, all right?
And and I also kind of thought, even though the Skeksis were like gross, I felt like, short of only a couple things that we see later, where they take those sad little Fraggles and wipe their minds and drink their
Yeah.
essence and all that.
Yeah.
We don't actually really see them do anything bad, like
Yeah.
really bad. They're just like gross, hanging out by themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like, why is it so
Which
important?
I think that's what this show is going to do. It's going to show us how they get from the beginning of the world to
Right.
the Skeksis taking over.
right.
Yeah, well, because...
Which is why I was so confused the first time I watched it, because I was like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
happening?
Well, but that's my whole point, is like the narrative of this movie, the energy behind it is, we must take down the Skeksis. They are terrible and we must remove them from power. But it's like, firstly, are they in power? Two, what are they doing? They're just keeping to themselves.
Yeah, they're just like, they're
they're
sitting
holed up in
in
that
a
castle.
throne
Yeah.
room.
I mean, I
letting
guess
a
they
crystal
are.
shine light
They
into their eyes.
are. I mean, sending out those creature things to enslave those little people.
Right.
The Fraggles that aren't really Fraggles.
I don't know what they are.
Yeah,
I forgot.
I forget what they were called.
But I feel like we didn't see. As
I mean, we
much
did
of
see that, and it was that was actually pretty dark. There's a couple moments in this movie I was like, I can see that's pretty dark for like a family film.
Yeah.
because it was marketed as a family film. It was
Right.
marketed
Yeah.
as
But like,
like
when
you
that
know,
little guy's strapped in the chair and he's like drained,
Yeah.
it's like, ugh.
But also when they do like when Jen and the girl elf
Kira.
Yeah.
yeah,
Kira.
Kira.
Kira. I just looked it back up.
When they're in the town and then the things come in and raid it and like everything they're all like run. I was like, oh, that's pretty dark. There's like
I
kids
may
like
have been asleep.
okay.
I might have been asleep. for
That because that scene is like, it's like, oh shit, like
Is that
that's
kind
pretty dark because it's like they're just having a good time. It reminds me of like the cantina scene from Star Wars.
Yeah.
because they're all like dancing and like
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
instruments.
or in Willow, when what's his name is dressed up as a woman.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. It's like that, it's like a hangout. She's introducing him to the people that like raised her, and then all of a sudden, boom, the big insect things come in and start like just clawing at people, picking them up, putting them in cages on their back.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh shit, there's like kids, they're like the little kids of those things like crying, and they're just like, oh shit, like this is kind of dark.
But I do feel like that's in the middle of the movie, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it's solidly in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is,
But I'm
saying
saying like that's when you think about. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess they are like enslaving these people and like
Right.
taking their essence and like
like
making
turning
them
them zombies.
yeah,
like,
and then just making them,
zombifying
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
making them like work for them and shit.
But I do feel like we should have started with that then. Like,
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, the movie's
Yeah.
got like a lot of issues, but I was like,
yeah,
but
but
they are pretty fucked up people.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're also like just gross.
Yeah,
Like, you
they are
automatically
gross.
don't like them because you're just
Yeah.
like, these are fucking hideous ass gross monsters.
they are.
But that's the point. But they don't actually, right? Like not a single one, except I guess the guy does kill the
Kira.
Kira, yeah. Which I thought was another thing. I was like, ooh, like literally just fucking killed
Yeah,
her.
yeah,
Like, just stabbed her.
right. But then she comes back, right?
She does come back.
Yeah,
but
but I was like, whoa.
at the very end. But like I was just
I was also when they threw the dog
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
hole, and I was
same.
like,
I was like-
I was like, no.
I do like the little dog guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
you want to know? That's my last fun fact. About the little dog. It was Frank Oz's idea for Kira to have the pet Fizzgig, similar to Miss Piggy's little dog Fufu, who at the time had been recently added to the Muppet Show. Jim Henson only reluctantly agreed because he did not like repeating himself. So he didn't want to have like the dog, Miss Piggy have the dog, and then repeat it in this.
Yeah, I like that the dog. I don't know if you noticed, but the way he gets around is he rolls.
He does, yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
like, his feet
It's
are
so
just like,
cute.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
adorable. I'm
It's
like, that's fucking
super
hilarious.
cute. And actually, honestly, I kind of felt like Kira was more hero than Jen.
Yeah.
Oh
Which
yeah,
also,
100%.
Like to the point where I was like, what are you even?
Yeah, like,
here
what are you
for?
even
No,
here
because he's
for?
just like mindlessly wandering, playing that stupid little flute.
We see him doing like essentially. It's funny that Jim Henson wouldn't want to repeat himself because I feel like the first time we meet Jen is like exactly the same time we meet Kermit naked playing an instrument in a swamp.
Yep.
Like this. And I was
Yeah.
like, is he naked? Oh my god, he's naked.
Yeah, well, at first
He's
I
naked.
didn't realize that because it's like, oh, he just was a shapeless puppet bee. It was like a Barbie doll.
Yeah.
It was just like having a Ken doll,
Yeah.
like just sitting there
Yeah.
with long hair, and then it cuts to him fully dressed, and I'm like, oh, so he was naked.
Yeah, I was.
Wait,
that
when
really
was he
bothered
naked?
me.
At the
When we
very
Very
beginning.
first meet him, and he's sitting by like in the swamp, like by the river, and he's playing like a flute.
I think it's in the trailer for this.
He is naked.
I don't
Yeah.
think I caught that.
Well, I mean,
'Cause I'm not a
it's-
perv like
it was,
you guys.
It was hard to tell
Yeah,
because
Amy and I were checking out the boobs. We were checking out this naked.
This is a family film, guys. God damn it.
But it's like it's hard
Keep
to
it in
tell
your pants for
because
once.
it just literally goes from his neck to his chest, and it's just shapeless.
Yeah.
There's like there's no real definition of like, oh,
He's got no gains, bro.
He could just be. This could
not
just be
swole.
this person. Like that's just what he's wearing. It's
Yeah.
like this race of being is
Mm-hmm.
just shaped like this or looks like this. They don't need clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with all of these things that we now have seen in the movie, how do we feel about the show, the upcoming show, and the trailer
I mean,
behind it?
if because one of the biggest problems with this movie is that all of the information we get is super passive.
Yeah, but
It's
I
like-
think a lot of that has to do with Jim Henson writing, just like J.K. Rowling writing Fantastic Beasts. She puts too
Yeah.
much fucking exposition in,
So
and I feel like
J.K. Rowling and the crimes of world building.
yeah, and I feel like it's just Henson did not do the best job at writing this,
Right. I mean, the thing is,
and piecing it together.
because yeah, it's basically like this is almost, like journey wise, this is the hero's journey. This is basically Star Wars. Jen is Luke Skywalker, and I kind of feel like if this movie is basically like if Ben Kenobi just told Luke what was going on in the first 10 minutes of Star Wars and then disappeared, and then Luke
Well,
was like sent on his way.
I mean, if you watch it, the mystic leader guy disappears kind of the same way Obi-Wan does.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like the mystic leader is Obi-Wan, and he disappears in the first 10 minutes, and then he's just like, well now I'm going to go on an adventure.
With a collapsing cape.
Yeah. And that had already happened in Empire, you know? Like we'd already seen, or I mean Jedi, I think. Oh no, this came out in 82, so we wouldn't have seen Jedi yet.
No, just would have seen
But
A
we've
New
seen,
Hope.
but Kenobi.
There are 9 writers on this TV show.
Well, I mean, it's a TV show.
Yeah, it's
a
two
room full of
like
writers.
2 people have 2 episodes, 5 people have 1 episode, and then But I hope that there's better writing on this.
Did you think that when the Skeksis and the Mystics joined, that they looked like somebody had stuck their finger in a light socket? Like they're like hair that
you
was
mean
standing
like
on
Yeah.
it, like they're
whatever they
glowing astral
became?
beings.
Yeah, it was
I did
very...
think that was weird. I think the complaint that I have the most about this movie is that the technology was limiting them to, like, hindering it in a way that, I mean, the story wasn't great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I felt like we wouldn't have noticed that much if the technology at the time had allowed them to do a little bit more in like a grander scale, which is kind of what this thing is.
Yeah.
This new TV show, where it seems like there were ideas in there that they were trying to world build, right? But they weren't great.
They couldn't
at
show
it.
the world.
Yeah, they couldn't
Yeah.
show the world, and the creatures were like, they were well designed.
Yeah.
I felt like, but they weren't. You know, you didn't really know anything about them.
But I feel like on a basic level, and we sort of talked about this already, was that the voice work didn't match the puppeteering. Like
Yeah,
really at all.
yeah. Well, the voice, and that's what I'm saying. So like the voice work wasn't great. The puppeteering was good, but like it was still, you can tell that they were puppets.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
And
that's
there was stilted
yeah.
movements, and like some of it was like impressive for the time. But at least when I'm seeing the movie and I'm thinking back on the trailer, I'm like, the trailer feels so much more. It also just feels like there's so much more action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that, I mean, obviously it's a trailer, so it's trying to be super action, but like the amount of things that we see in the trailer, like the different creatures, the different environments, the action shots that they do show, like it all seems
Yeah.
enough to where I'm like, oh, these were like my main problems with watching this movie. It was
Yeah.
like super slow.
Yeah.
You know, the puppeteering could be a little stilted. The voice acting wasn't great, and all this stuff. You know, and I feel like a lot of it seems to be remedied in this new series, or it could be.
I mean, the voice acting still doesn't seem all that remedy to me, because one, we don't get a lot of voice acting shots, but the ones that we do see of the Gelflings talking, I feel like don't match up all that well either.
I don't know, but I just feel like the performances themselves, like not even just the mouth,
Yeah.
the lip sync,
Just what we hear
what
in
we
the trailer
hear
is
in the
good.
trailer just sounds so much
Yeah.
better than any of the dialogue in this movie.
I'd agree with that. I think that's true.
I'm kind of interested to see it just to kind of get a little bit more backstory on like why all of this
What
happened.
this world is, yeah.
Yeah. Because like,
Yeah, I just feel like after having seen the movie, I don't care enough, and I don't like the world enough to want to watch it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
like
I just
it would be interesting to watch the series and then revisit the movie again.
Yeah.
Like, even though it is kind of like going back and rewriting the past, like the Star Wars prequels, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
rewriting what has already happened
Right.
to these characters. But I kind of, it would be interesting to see if like they take the girl like they show like one of the last episodes is like the Skeksis killing all of the Gelflings that like Kira was a part of, and that Jen escaped from with the Mystics.
Yeah.
And you see that little flashback that Kira has, like that very small one where her mom like shoves her in a tree or something.
Yeah.
I think I was asleep for that bit too.
Yeah.
But I will say it was funny because I didn't realize that it was a prequel like initially, and I'd kind of forgotten that you told me. So when we were watching the trailer again, I was like, wait a minute, why are they? What did they separate again? Like, does this happen periodically?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah,
it
that's
not
what I
take?
thought the first time I watched. Like, I think it was when I watched the Comic-Con sneak peek. I still didn't know it was a prequel. I didn't realize it was a prequel until after this trailer had come out, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. Because I was just like, especially after watching the movie, I was like, oh, it doesn't make sense unless it is like something that happens before.
Yeah.
I think it's got the possibility to make this world seem interesting. I mean, mainly just the environments and the creature designs. I'm like, that's pretty cool. I like that. And I don't think it was fully realized in this movie. You know, story limitations and also technological limitations.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how this new series, if it's able to actually build this world, which it
Yeah.
looks like it might.
And maybe get away from the shortcomings of the
Yeah.
original film.
Yeah, exactly. So, because it's kind of like, I mean, going back to Star Wars, you know, Lucas had this idea in his head about what the old Republic, what the system was like before the Empire, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And he like tried to do it, but I don't feel like he like, you know, I don't know. Perhaps you know they didn't line up the way at least it didn't connect. Maybe it lined up the way he wanted it to, but it just didn't really connect. And I feel
Yeah.
like. Because I feel like the world that Star Wars, the original trilogy, built was fully realized, was, you know, really, you knew what that was.
I do. I think in Lucas's case, he didn't like how it was realized. You know, like I feel like that was his rough draft, and he actually got to do what he wanted to do with the new Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's just, but he's the only one who wanted that.
Who liked it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the movie doesn't fully realize what that world could be, and I feel like the show might, you know, have a good chance of actually
Yeah.
doing it, just in
I'll
terms
probably
of
watch the
different
first
environments.
episode. Just
Yeah,
to, like,
I mean, it
see
also depends on how long. I mean, I feel like
It's gonna be. I feel like they're maybe like 30
50.
minutes.
I thought they were
30
gonna be
to
like
50
50 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know what the time is, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when it comes out, August 30th,
Yeah,
a day
not
before
sponsored.
my birthday.
Right in time for your birthday.
Yeah, although I don't know what I'm gonna be doing that weekend, but I probably won't be watching.
You mean you won't be sitting by a river naked playing a flute watching this show?
I mean, I will, but not watching the show.
You'll be by the Los Angeles River.
It's my favorite river. What are you talking about?
Oh my god.
But I
This
mean, do we really need to answer the question? Does it hold up?
Man, I don't think it held up back then.
No.
I mean, I actually did think
I
about
think the
this.
puppetry holds up, but the story does not.
No.
I think the puppetry thing is an interesting point because you mentioned that the puppetry is a little stilted and has trouble, and I was wondering because I agree with you, but I was wondering like why is it that the Muppets and Fraggles and everything else
Because it's a lot of the same puppeteers.
it is,
Yeah.
but I wonder if it's because those characters are already so cartoony, and maybe
Yeah.
that's why whatever they're doing is lending
Yeah,
itself
like
better to
their
that.
movements can be more exaggerated,
Right.
Because they are pretty much cartoons,
Right.
Whereas feels like it's supposed to be,
meant
even though
to
it's
be
fantasy, but
serious.
it's supposed to be more
Organic.
organic and
yeah.
realistic, like less cartoony.
Right.
And I think you're right in that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking as I was watching this, I was like, huh, if I had seen this as a kid, I don't know, I might have liked it. I might have liked it more than seeing it now as an adult.
I might have too.
I was like,
but
it's got enough weird shit in it that I'm just like,
I probably would have been too scared by the Skeksis, really,
yeah,
and been like, I don't like this.
yeah.
I think I would have, because I've noticed this about me as a kid, is movies that I don't like now as a grown man, and I know why. When I was little, it would be a movie that simply confused me, and I wouldn't spend any more time on it. And I think that's probably
Yeah.
that would have been little me's response, which would have been just like, I don't get it. I'm gonna watch Indiana Jones. You know what's funny is a really good example of live action Henson puppeteering. Pretty sure it's Henson's Creature Workshop. Is the live action movie Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah,
Like the
I
Vogons.
I like that one.
And all of the other like things that are in that are Creature Shop. I'm pretty sure. Those look great.
Those do look great, but also that movie was made in like 2005.
True. No, but I'm saying like maybe that's a plus for this.
Oh, yeah, for the
like,
show?
this new one.
Oh, the TV show,
that
yeah.
They've come so far that maybe it'll.
Oh
be
yeah, I'm saying the puppets. I mean, they look great, and I know there's a lot of computer animation in that too.
Yeah.
But I know there's also a lot of puppetry, like actual, real puppets that they made for it.
Yeah.
and they looks fantastic. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe it could be better.
Yeah, as long as the story's there. But you know, that's the other trouble with the prequels. It's like we know where it's going.
Yeah.
So where's the dramatic tension? And ultimately, how is this show going to end in a way that's not a serious downer?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I don't think it will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
But there must be enough love for it that they're making it.
I mean, because I'm saying it seems like though they put a lot of money into this. Like puppeteering stuff doesn't come cheap.
No,
You know,
as long as with the post production that was in this and all the voice cast that's in it.
Oh,
No, this is a very expensive endeavor.
yeah. So hey, we'll see.
Yeah, there was something in here about It made over $40 million, and it was a $15 million budget.
The Defunct Land episode, because I did rewatch it today. They said 60 million worldwide.
Wow. Well, it was number one in France and Japan in in '83.
Yeah.
It opened the same weekend though as E.T.
Oh
Interesting.
shit!
Yeah.
Oh
So that probably did not help it too much.
no, but it did well enough. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like 16th overall in the U.S.
yeah, Which is
Like
not-
domestically.
That's pretty good. Well, anyway, I fucking hated this movie.
The Dark Crystal. I thought it was fine, but then again, I was I don't know, get a different takeaway from it. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's not great. It's not. I wouldn't even say it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, is it terrible?
Would you watch it again though?
Ooh, probably not. No.
Rewatchability is 0.
Would you rewatch it after watching the series?
I might actually. I was thinking that. I was thinking, depending on how much I like this series.
Yeah, rewatching it with
I
like a
would-
different perspective.
Yeah.
Does the movie do a good job selling you on the series?
No.
Well, I was interested in the series before I even watched the movie.
Yeah.
So I was going to watch the series either way. And it hasn't deterred me. It actually, if anything, I'm like, I want to see what it does.
Yeah.
If it can make this movie that's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This world that's not fully realized in this movie. Like,
Because,
has
like-
its shortcoming if it can compensate for it.
Like I think it did kind of something like that for me because I did not watch they released a trailer 2 years ago, like a teaser. They released a teaser a couple months ago.
I don't think they released a trailer 2 years ago.
They released a teaser 2 years ago on Netflix, youtube.com/Netflix.
Jesus.
They
2
released a teaser
years?
2 months ago.
Been working on this for 2 years.
Yeah. I did have a thing I was gonna read off to you guys. Where'd it go?
I don't know, because I only remember, maybe it was like just an announcement trailer, which it was just like, we're doing this thing.
Yeah, there was like a small teaser 2 years ago, and then 2 months ago, then the Comic-Con sneak peek, and then the one that they just released.
Yeah.
But Frank Oz adamantly denies that he and Jim ever considered an idea for a sequel, and has publicly denounced any attempts to make one. Nevertheless, the Henson Company began touting plans for a sequel in the mid-2000s, and the plans have finally come to fruition with the Netflix prequel series, The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. So they've been talking about doing this, like, in this Comic-Con trailer or sneak peek that I rewatched. Henson's daughter is, like, she's an executive producer on it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so she probably started talking about this mid-2000s with somebody. But, yeah, watching the first Comic-Con, before even, like, thinking about doing this film for the podcast, I was watching, I'm like, it seems like something that's right up my alley. It's kind of Star Wars, like, not Star Wars-y, it's kind of, like, fantasy, Lord of the Rings, epic-y. I was like, I don't really care. I don't know anything about this world. Don't really
You
care.
just hate puppets, Amy. Admit it.
No, but then
You're a
after
puppet hater.
watching the movie, and then after watching this like trailer, like the new trailer again, I was like, I'm interested to see how it connects. But that's about it.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be washing my hair.
Yeah.
You don't have hair.
Oh.
Dun dun dun.
Well, I
didn't
guess.
say it
On
was-
that note,
I didn't say I'd be washing my hair. Wait, no, I did say my hair.
Yeah, you
didn't
did. Are you gonna wash Sarah's hair? Because she may
Oh.
need some help with that. She has a lot of hair.
That'll take a long ass time.
But anyways, you guys, I guess that is everything. Let us know what you think of The Dark Crystal on Twitter or Instagram at Nostalgitis, NOSTALGITIS, or you can email us at nostalgiaeffectpod@gmail.com, because we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, if you like this fucking movie, keep it to yourself. But also, maybe tell
But
us
also
why.
don't.
Tell us why. But thank you guys so much for listening, and don't forget to be kind and rewind.
bye.
See ya.
Mm.